Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Game Club. This time we were talking about Magical Delicacy. I'm your host, Boston. I'm playing this on the Series X. I'm joined, as always, by Moonpear.
Hi, I bleed green. XSX.
And Musum.
Xbox Series X.
Let's talk about a little bit of the deets behind the game here. It was released on July 16th, 2024. Published by Whitethorn Games. We've played two of their previously published games, which is Lake and Botany Manor.
I was going to say, literally, last episode we did one of
That's
those,
right.
which I was like, wait, I recognize that logo. Why do I recognize that logo?
Yeah,
They're the publisher, not developer.
correct.
Yes.
The developer is Scowl, which is a solo developed. This is a solo developed game, except for the composer, who is Dale North, who you have definitely played something Dale North has composed, like Wargroove 2, Dreamscaper, Wizard of Legend, and like 200 other games. He is very good and very prolific. This game came out on Xbox One, Series consoles, Switch, and PC. The game itself describes... the developer describes this game as a wholesome pixel art platformer, where instead of kind of has a Metroidvania flair to it, where your progression is often locked behind cooking things as opposed to getting a gun upgrade or something. So that's kind of the meat and potatoes of this game, which we'll get into here more in a minute. Time travel for this game, Metacritic is 85, OpenCritic is 79. Appears for the release date, The First Descendant, Angerfoot. I just want to put that in there because I just want to keep saying the game Angerfoot.
Got a good mouthfeel.
Yeah. Darkest Dungeon 2's console releases, Flock, Dungeons of Hinterberg, and Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. Let's talk about the question we ask every month here: top of the pile, middle of the pack, or overlooked?
Overlooked, because I didn't know this was in existence until you told me about it.
Okay.
Same.
I'm going to go middle of the pack because I think I saw this at like a Wholesome Games Direct. I think it was either 2023 or 2024.
I definitely saw it there.
Yeah, so I think when I saw that, I was like, all right, this seems... You're making like another cozy cooking game. That seems like a pretty cool game. Something to keep an eye on here as something for, a show like Game Club, perhaps. But other than that, I don't think I saw.
I haven't heard a single person talking about this. Now, granted, I'm not up to date on my video game podcasts, but I literally haven't heard anybody talk about this at all or seen any buzz on social media about this at all.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the game itself, what we liked, what we didn't like.
Spoiler warning as well, folks.
Yeah,
by the way.
spoiler warning if
warning.
you care or whatever. I have promised that Moon can get a short section here of a rant, so I want to check
we do good first.
I want to check Musum here first before we turn the floor over to the representative from New York. So Musum, do you have any kind of short comments here before Moon
Yes.
unleashes?
So I did not beat the game by any means. I think I
did
spent
not
like
either.
2 to 3 hours into it. It seemed fine to me, but judging by our the slight impressions I've gotten from you both on precast, I imagine that changes quite dramatically as you get into it. But it has very nice graphics. And I guess that's the extent of my actual critical thinking about it.
Yeah, I also didn't finish it. I played somewhere between 15 to 20 hours, and I feel like I was right there at the ending. And for probably all of the reasons that Moon is going to rant about in short time.
I took notes. I don't write notes for games.
I have a lot of notes for this game. I didn't want to finish it, which I really try not to do on this show, because I really do try to finish as much stuff as I can if the time allows. But when I sit down and play a game, and I start playing the game, and I'm grumpy about it, that usually tells me that I need to drop that game. Because, frustrations are part of any game. Roadblocks are part of any game. That's kind of a normal thing. But, sitting down and just being like, meh, about a game, that's something totally different. So, Moon, I'm going to
Mhm.
pass the mic over to you, and I will probably interject
Do
and say, uh-huh, a lot.
do we want to do the good parts first, the things we actually liked? Because
I do really like the soundtrack. I think the
I
soundtrack
do
is
too.
really solid. I think I like the art style in this game. I think it's gonna be really divisive. Whether you're into a like heavily pixelized style,
Mhm.
which I know Moon, you kind of love or hate heavily pixelized games like this.
Yes, I have a very divisive opinion on it. I
Hmm.
think they're okay in this. I think the camera's a little bit too zoomed in.
I would agree with
I
that. Yeah.
think it needs to come out a little bit more.
Hmm.
12 hours and 19 minutes, by the way, Boston.
Okay. Thank you.
Um,
Um,
I do have the Xbox app installed, shockingly
Thank you. I
enough.
I have it in somewhere on my phone. I don't know where. I did really like a lot of the writing, and I did like that a
Hmm.
lot of the writing didn't overstay its welcome. Um,
Yep.
there are no, sometimes we play games like this where it's like, I'm going to sit here and talk to a character, and they have like 400 text boxes of dialogue. Really, nobody had that in this game. I feel like every character had their own personality. Every character. I'm a real sucker for indie games that have like the wibbly wobbly, shaky text and all that stuff. That gets me every single time. This game has a ton of it. I'm always like,
Hmm.
the
It's used for
text is
dramatic
jumping.
effect really, really well.
Yeah, I really love it, and I feel like so many of the characters spoke with their own voice. And I
Yes.
think that really, really did help this game. And I did really like that this game has a full bio of each character. As soon as you meet them, you kind of have like
Hmm.
a big write up. They have the picture, their pronouns. It has like a couple paragraphs. I thought that was really cool. I liked that a lot.
Yeah. I like that too. I like the world building too, like the
Yeah.
concept of the world. It's like, yo, this is like an island city that's kind of dying and nobody really knows why. And
Also, we're
like
hunting
you learn all about,
dragons.
yeah, you learn all about the legacy of, yo, maybe you don't kill all of the dragons because maybe that's the key to everything staying alive.
Yeah.
I inspired by Game of Thrones, but not really kind of
Right.
thing, feeling
Right.
there. I did like that part of it. And in concept, you tell me the concept of, hey, this is a Metroidvania with no combat. It's like, yes, please.
Right.
Like there's a lot to take away from that. Some really good thought, some good ideas, good thoughts.
And
It's the
I do like games like this where we're getting more crafting games that don't have the hunger meter and the thirst meter and the sanity meter, and it's just we're having a more uh, I know they call them cozy, but it's like a more accessible. Like I don't.
yeah,
It doesn't matter if I don't make this dish right now. The frog I'm giving it to isn't gonna die due to the
yeah.
horrors of war. They're just gonna wait there on the dock for 2 weeks while I find this one piece. Like I think all of
Yeah.
it. Uh,
Cozy is very good rebranding for the word accessible. Not
yeah,
that the word accessible is problematic, but
and
cozy is a very good PR friendly way of saying that.
And speaking of accessible, great accessibility menu in this game.
Yes.
Tons of great options. I love being able to just like turn off the platforming, turn off this thing, turn off having to
So,
hold stuff, like all that stuff.
so let's clarify on the turn off the
Uh
platforming
huh.
part.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, you mean turn off the platforming hazards.
Yes.
So the platforms that flash in and out, they don't flash in and out anymore.
Right.
They're just there.
They
The
don't crumble and
waterfalls that knock you
disappear.
down.
Yep.
They're like all of that stuff. That the platforming hazards are gone. You still have to
Exactly.
platform,
Right.
but
Right.
the hazards are gone,
Right.
which is important. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah. So I think you were just gonna say all that stuff is
I have a
solid
list,
except.
but oh, I have also I do need to give credit where it's due. The movement abilities. the reveal of the movement abilities, we were all like, whatever the Metroidvania that was top of the line, best in class, except instead of getting the ball, you get the little robot that you fire through holes.
Oh yeah,
Like
the
we all
the
spoke
cyber
super
one.
highly.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, I
we all
remember.
the second one came out recently.
Yep.
Recently being 2 years ago in my mind.
Right.
We all spoke super highly about that, being like, no, you don't get the morph ball, you get a little robot. And like, I like the fact that in this, like, yes, you get a double jump. I like the
Axiom
fact that
Verge.
thank you.
That's the one. Oof.
I love the fact that the high jump is you basically summoning water and propelling yourself
Yep.
high. Did you get the morph ball equivalent?
I, t- I did, where you just turn into a cat. I'm like, all right,
You turn into a cat.
that's
It's
pretty.
so good.
It's
All
like very witchy appropriate.
yes. And the final one you get is a broom,
Yep.
which is a long distance travel. Like it's I think they're really good takes on
Yeah.
that whole new movement abilities idea.
Yeah, because it's not just, oh yeah, here we got the double jump. Whoops, now we got bombs. All right, here we go.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree.
Boston, I have a question for you
Uh-huh.
before I unload. Do you think that you're and I might have more negative things to say than you. We'll get there.
Mm,
But do you think that your opinion of this game is potentially not tarnished but affected
mm.
by the fact that earlier this year, not too long ago, you literally played arguably one of the best in class Metroidvanias of all time, period.
Which was that one?
Prince of Persia.
Yeah, man. To me, I think those are such different beasts, though, because the Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is like a masterclass in managing to make combat and movement flow together in the same way. And I think in Magical Delicacy's case, the movement feels like it's in service of traversal rather than that being part of the joy of the game. It's really just
Yes.
it's you locomoting from one place to another rather than I need to make this system fun and engaging. It's just I need to get from screen A to B to C.
Yeah.
So I don't really think so. That wasn't really my big problem.
I was just curious because that
It's
is
a
a
good
game
question.
that I have waiting in my library to be installed, and it's
Mhm.
just like, well,
That's a great
if I
game.
really want a Metroidvania, do I maybe want to load this up and blow through this before the end of the year because 2024 and I've played like 5 games so far.
Lost Crown is great. Can't go wrong.
Go play that.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want to phrase it this way because I hate being negative. Maybe check out trailers and things like that and gameplay footage before you play this game.
There's a demo out there as well on at least PC. I would recommend trying that out because I have found myself to be the outlier when I right before we talk about this game, I go look at reviews and say, all right, I've formed my opinion, and now I want to see, am I aligned with most people out there? Am I sort of off the? I don't really care if I'm kind of off center with everybody else. I'm way off the mark with seemingly every person, every like non-reviewer that has played this game. It's getting 9s and 10s from user reviews all over the place.
And maybe that's good for them. Maybe it's a game that's good for them. This is
100%.
This is not a me game. Period.
Yeah.
In a lot of things it is. I'm very interested in this kind of game, but okay. It's time for me to sit up.
Yep. Get in the rant position.
So, I mean, let's just start with the fact that there's 2 different types of fast travel, which annoys the absolute bejesus out of me.
And you don't unlock them
Just
at the
use
same
one.
time.
No, you don't. You unlock them 2 separate times, and until you unlock the second one, a lot of the map is very difficult to get to with your movement abilities.
Yep.
And I hate the fact that you have to use the 2 different points to do the 2 different things, and I have to check my map to see which one I need to use because I frequently go to the crows when I should be going to the fountain. So I go
Yep.
to the fountain when I should be going to the crows. They could just all be merged into one. Hey, how about you use the water to fast travel upwards and use the pipes to fast travel downwards? Light and dark, that's your 2 types of magic covered
Right.
in the fast travel thing, and you're just using one system.
Right.
But also, I don't think there's enough of them. There just
No.
isn't.
Yeah.
I don't want one every screen, but like there's big gaps that you can't get to because there's zero fast travel stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The cooking is vitally important
Yep.
in this game. Like, it is the core mechanic of the game. And you have to make money to buy tutorial books from the 17 different shops there are in the game, essentially.
With like 3 or 4 currencies.
Yes.
2 of which
Feathers,
are hard to get.
Yes, 2 of which are collectible based that you mostly get through collecting chests that you get for exploring the world.
Yep.
So there's
If
money,
you are
there's
not,
feathers. What's the third one?
So it's like
it's like skulls. It's
yeah,
like
it's like
bird
a
skulls.
bird skull or something.
Gotcha.
Trinkets. No.
And I noticed from the start, just from me not knowing how to make bread, there's recipes that don't exist in the game. You just either have to natively.
Oh, you might find the recipe, but you might not find it until 10 hours later when you find a shop that's hidden in the corner of nowhere, or the one that only appears of a nighttime that you can only do deals with if you have a specific trinket.
Don't even get me started.
Well, I googled bread.
Yeah,
like
and some of them are progress based. Like some of them you
Right.
will only unlock if you have done certain people's stories. Like
Yep.
you don't get the tea kettle for your store until you find the tea shop and speak to the owner of the tea shop, who then gives you a quest that you then do that quest, and then they say, okay, now go talk to the person at the forge, and then they will make you a tea kettle,
and
which you have to buy.
And from a story perspective, removing the gameplay, the story perspective in a vacuum, I thought that was especially interesting because the woman
They
that
have
works,
relationships.
Yeah, and like the woman that works in the forge says, I can't make you a tea kettle because the tea shop all the way at the top of the map is struggling because nobody wants to go up there. So I don't want you to make tea and
You're
push her-
literally in the next screen, so
Right.
I don't want you to take over and wipe out that business.
Exactly.
And it's like, cool.
And like, oh, she said it's okay. Okay, cool. Now I can make you a tea kettle. But then you have to buy it, and it's like a lot of money. And it's like,
Like 400.
Yeah,
400,
it's like,
500 every time.
I just kind of went through like a really long quest. Can you just give me this one? Like, I could buy some of the other ones. That's fine. Good. Can you just give me this one?
And like part of that whole process as well is like you'll get a recipe and it's like, okay, make this thing, but maybe you don't have the recipe yet, or maybe you don't have the correct ingredients. It's like it will tell you an ingredient or a name of ingredient, but it doesn't tell you where it's sold. It doesn't tell you how to get it.
Yep.
Took me the longest time to realize this. You cannot buy dandelions anywhere. They can only be collected by harvesting them.
Okay.
I'll get to that whole process in a little bit. But because of that ordeal, like I got trapped for the first like 5 hours of this game because I played it for 24 hours and 8 minutes. I mentioned to the gents beforehand. Expect the full gamer score tweet to go up at some point with this.
Right.
But I got stuck for like a good 5 hours in. I was like banging my head against the wall for like an hour and a half to 2 hours because I couldn't figure out what to make, how to make it, what I was doing wrong,
how to earn money.
And part of that is there are keepsakes in the game, which are cool. Some of them are great. Like one lets you move quicker, one lets you do actions faster, one improves the speed of all of the stuff in the kitchen. They're really great. There are two which should be available to you from the start. Like you should do. Okay, so the very start of the game, you meet the witch, whatever her name is. This is something that like put me into a huge wall. You meet the Sana witch, I think it is.
Yeah.
Who is the witch who's at the very far left. you have a big cutscene with them interacting with the other witch. And then you go in the house, you have this huge cutscene. It's like, great. Now I'm going to leave now and continue exploring. I didn't get the quest to progress the story of the game because I didn't immediately talk to the witch after the cutscene. I assumed cutscene, give me what I need,
right,
leave.
right. And there's no indication, there's no like exclamation mark above people
No.
that have a quest for you or anything. So I could
And
see
you
I
only
could
get
easily
the
miss
new
that.
you only get the new thing notification if you go close to them enough to where it has the dot over them to talk to them.
Right.
So it didn't have any of that stuff in it. But I think your first conversation with her, you should get two things: the notes on quality and the notes on flavor.
Yes.
Which are two keepsakes that you get that when you equip them, when you're making a dish, it tells you what the flavor is going to be. It tells you what the quality is going to be. Because otherwise you could burn, and I did burn through thousands of ingredients trying to make this one particular dish and not knowing what I was doing wrong.
Yeah, you
not
never know what the output is
understanding.
going to be.
Yeah, and like it has, like, you have the tutorial thing. It's like, here is the flavor chart and what overwrites what. It's like, I don't want to reference this thing 5,000 times while I'm playing the game. I just want to go. It feels like it's a game that's based on vibes, and it has very good vibes.
For sure.
But then the gameplay itself is so mechanics heavy that then you have to reference, this is the flavor chart, this nullifies this flavor, this gets rid of that, I need to make at least this and this to add to the quality. It's a vibes game with heavy mechanics in there.
Yeah, because the only thing
it felt like they were fighting with each other all the time.
Right, because the game will tell you, for anyone that hasn't played it, the game will tell you, like, oh, you're going to make a roasted pepper sandwich. It's like, perfect, that's exactly what I wanted to make. But you don't know what quality it's going to be, like how many stars it's going to be. And you don't know what the eventual flavor profile is going to be, because someone you're making the sandwich for as a quest might say it's got to be 3 or higher stars, and it needs to be a like savory or salty or something like that. And it comes out and it's 2.5 stars and it's bitter. And it's like,
yeah,
what? What did I? And like trying to reorganize is like, okay, you never get enough feedback about what you did to get to that point, because then you're like, oh, okay, well, I need to switch out this pepper for this, or I need to saute it instead of oven bake it. I need to do this or that to like change the flavor profile of it. It's just a lot of like, okay, I'll go look at a website.
Yeah, like one of the very early missions that I got to, because his missions were easy, was the Spearfarer guy, or Sparrowfarer guy, guy who's in charge of the guys who are going to go take a river journey.
Yeah.
And one of his missions was like, make me some potions, but they can't be too flashy because otherwise the home base will not approve it. So he requests insipid potions. Insipid is the lowest on the flavor chart, so you need 3 ingredients that are insipid in order to get that flavor profile for the potions to make for him. And it's like, I can only make potions at night.
Right.
It's daytime. You want me to sit here and wait until nighttime to make the potion? I can skip the night by going to bed, but I can't just sit in a bench and rest. The button says rest.
Please let me nap in my bed to skip to night. This is one of my biggest problems, is time progression. A lot of times and a lot of times I need to get up to this other area I need to go to, and all of these platforms will only show up at night. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Yep. I'm just gonna let this game run for like 30 minutes until those platforms pop up, spend 5 seconds platforming them, and then be on my way.
Yep.
Hugely frustrating.
Yes.
So does the platforming handicap make that, like, they still disappear? Oh.
Nope, they're still only there at nighttime.
That's why I originally turned it on, because I was like, okay, I've done all the normal platforming. I've done the
I got wiped out by the waterfalls like 17 times. I'm good. I don't need to do that anymore.
I don't want to wait for these platforms. Let me just turn it on. That doesn't affect it at all. Hugely frustrating.
There's only one set where it doesn't do that, but you have to create potions, so they're potion-based platforms anyway, so that's
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, Why do the shopkeepers have such limited stock? I get it. The town is in a bad place.
Yeah.
But you're telling me that, like, the one ingredient I need to use to make 4 of these dishes is only available one at a time from the store where it can be purchased from, and they don't restock for another 6 hours? Talking about the time thing again.
It's like the lady that runs the bakery only has 2 things of wheat a day. Like,
Yeah.
she should have. You want to cap it at something big, that's fine, but like, I need to make 4 sandwiches for this quest. I'm not going to keep progressing time for 4 days straight.
Well, you can't if it's daytime as well. Like that.
I mean, progressing time at this point is just putting your controller down and letting it run.
Or for me, baking the most banal crap I could and then putting it in the window of the shop and then slowly but surely working up my money to eventually be able to buy the store.
I really did like that running the shop thing. I wish there was a one big change with it though, is that the woman who lives with you.
Oh, Hina. Hina is an incredible character.
Yep.
I wish she ran the store. I wish she took,
because
you had a closet that you could fill up with inventory with like meals,
right?
And then Hina would just run the store.
Because like it was so frustrating every time I would open the store at the beginning of the day. I'd put a bunch of stuff in there just to make some cash. I would head to the door to leave, and they're like, "Wait, you got to stay here to run the store." And it's like,
yeah, nothing's gonna get sold if you don't.
It's
like I live in New York State.
Uh-huh.
I'm not saying it's a bad state. I'm not saying it's a great state, but I can drive 5 minutes away from my house and I'll see a little chicken hutch looking thing in somebody's driveway right by the front of the road. Says eggs, $5 a dozen.
Leave
Help
your cash.
yourself.
Yeah.
And it's literally a take an egg, leave a 5 kind of situation. And that's like 5 minutes away from me in the middle of like urban New York.
Not
New
a
York
magical
City.
town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like bewitch a platter, put the money in, get the goods. Put the money in, get the goods. Like, don't not sell this stuff because I'm not there. Like, that's a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
Or have that be an upgrade. The stuff the store runs itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway. Stock limited in the stores, money is limited in the stores. I don't like either of that front.
Frustrating.
So yes, the ingredients. Some can only be harvested.
Right.
Like dandelions.
Right.
Like the one ingredient I didn't use to get the use all ingredients location achievement. And it only grows in one location.
Right.
And there's only a chance that it grows in that particular location.
Right.
And I don't know how long it takes for this stuff to grow because it doesn't say, oh, hey, just wait 2 days and it'll be done.
Right.
I felt like I processed through like 3 weeks and some of these like harvest points in the wild had still not regenerated themselves.
Right.
And then I would run past them and then suddenly it would appear and it's like, wait, do I have to like step over the actual location for it to appear? Is that a bug? I don't know, but
one of my favorite accessibility menu options in this game, it's in the game, it's called Highlight Flora. And I was like, oh my god, perfect. I can't see any of these things that are on the ground. If you could just highlight them even when I get closer. No, it's highlight the main character whose name is Flora. It just has a white outline on her. And I'm just like, I swear to God.
I'm sorry. That might be the best,
the best misunderstanding
movies ever.
Oh man.
Yeah. Welcome to my brain.
Fantastic. I never clicked that. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So I do want to talk about ingredients and harvesting them because this is, I think, my one big core issue with this game is
QT every time you do something.
No,
because I hated that too, and I immediately turned that off.
I'm fine with the QT. I didn't mind those. I didn't even turn that off. It's the quality of life stuff. To me,
that's literally the list of what I have is quality of life stuff.
Because to me, it would. it would go a really long way to making this game, for me, a lot more enjoyable if each
Uh-huh.
screen had a name,
Yep.
uh, and if an ingredient that you've found or used had a list of places it grows or can be purchased.
Uh-huh.
That would solve 95% of my problems with this game because I've
About
made
70 for me.
yeah, I've made things with FACAP before, and people are like, "Great, you need to make these 3 potions. They all contain FACAP," and I'm like,
Where
"Where
is
do
it?
where do I find those? Where am I supposed to get
Uh-huh.
those?" And like looking it up, they're like, "Oh yeah, go 2 screens above this screen that you went 2 screens left to get, and then on this one cliff it grows here, but sometimes at night." And I'm just like, "Oh my god!" Like,
Also, let me tell you, in a world full of AI rampant fake articles,
mhm,
it's real hard to find a guide that's not like really far up there in the popularity thing.
yep. Which like isn't the game's fault,
Real
but that's
hard.
the internet's fault.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not the game's fault. But they still at one point it's just like, guys, like, come on, like, just why do I now have a list in the game
Right.
of who sells what?
Or at least just like,
Like, unless I missed it.
or unless it's just like when I look at the fake hat, for example, it can tell me, you found it on this one screen and you can find it on 2 other screens, but you haven't found them there, so it's question marks so far. Like,
Uh-huh.
I need.
So I just want to shout out really quick,
Sure.
bonusaction.com, bonus-action.com, and neoseeker.com
Mm-hmm.
both have relatively in-depth guides for this. Neither of them are complete,
Yeah.
but between bouncing between the two of those websites, they're the ones I was like,
I
okay, I've
I
got
liked the bonus action one
9
a lot.
tabs open,
Right.
and I'm just going to keep it. Because the bonus action does that thing as well, where it's like, here is a photo, here is a big arrow,
Exactly.
it's right here.
Bonus actions guide is really good. Big shout out to them.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'm playing a lot of other games like this that are very similar this year. Like, I'm currently playing Dredge, and Dredge tells you in the in-game encyclopedia, here's a fish you have caught at this exact location, at this depth, at this time of day, and using this specific tool. That's perfect. I don't want to have to go to a wiki just to say like, where do I buy tomatoes from again? And since you can't track on the map where non-store owned vendors are,
Non-location, but yeah, where the vendors who move, you can't track them
right?
on the map.
Or like that dude that's
The
always
cat,
in the same
the
spot,
camel, the frog.
right?
Um,
The guy who sells tomatoes next to the guy that wants that cool drink for his camel. Like,
yes,
those, I can't track those people, so I don't know. I can't remember where to go back for this dude because the map is not too big,
it's
but
cute.
just big
It is
enough.
cute.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah,
just big enough for me to be like, okay, I'm just gonna. I know it's in town. I'm just gonna run all the way to the left, go up, run all the way up. There they are. Okay, cool.
yeah,
That sort of stuff is frustrating.
yeah. I really struggled with that,
Yeah.
with the ingredient side of things, especially as I approach the end. It's like I don't know what this thing you've just referred to as,
Right.
and you're talking about relics, which you can only get, generally speaking, some you can buy some of them from the guy who moves his shop of a nighttime,
Mm-hmm.
and you can only get certain ones by talking to certain people, and then they'll give you them again. It's like, okay,
Right.
where did I get this in the first place? Because I messed up the instructions, so I don't know
Right.
what to do. We need to talk about the fact that for a Metroidvania game, the movement is rough.
It's stiff, I think.
Yeah, it feels jerky to
Right.
play,
And
and
like
like when you're trying, like.
I don't need it to be perfect. I don't need it to be like, what was it, Prince of Persia 2018 or whatever that was on the 360, where it's like, man, it feels great to move in this game. But
Yeah,
it just felt a little off, I think. It's
yeah, and
serviceable.
like the double jump is confusing sometimes because if you run off the edge of a thing before you jump, you'll do the double jump and not the actual jump that you needed to do.
Right.
The fact that you cannot, this comes under the movement thing, but while you're standing on stairs or moving platforms
Oh,
or anything
God.
else,
Yep.
you cannot activate any of your special movement abilities or pull open the map
Mm-hmm.
or pull open your menus
It
is
drove me crazy.
insane to me.
It drove me crazy
Because
every
you'd be
time.
standing on the second step
Yep.
of a stairway in the kitchen,
Yep.
and can't pull open my inventory.
I
Dro-
just
drove
thought
me crazy.
the game had non-responsive controls. I got to be honest with you. Like I didn't realize
Yes,
that was
that
happening.
is one of the things.
Yep.
Yes. There is a much too much of a delay between me pressing the button and then the character actually jumping, and it might only be like 0.75 of a second or whatever, but I give me
It's
like
grating.
0.5, please.
Yeah.
You know, I know I only played a couple hours of the game, and it was going to be inevitable that I was going to turn on the easy mode for platforming, but just because I'm really not into platformers. But immediately when I press jump in that first area, it's like, wow, that is what. How is this not snappy? Like, why would you
Right.
make a platformer where your movement doesn't have like some sort of,
Oomph
snap or
to it.
whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I,
there's
I go ahead, Boston.
there's way more platforming in this game than you think it
Than
is
you
if you're
realize.
listening and you haven't played. Like there is way
Way more.
more in this than
I
you can even imagine.
I literally got to the point where rather than make normal jumps, I would just get to where I needed to do and then hold the right trigger to do the big water jump
Yep.
and jump from there.
Yep.
So like anytime from the store to the herb lady, there is an elevator going upwards, like a platform elevator going upwards. Anytime I had to make that, I would come out of my store, go down the stairs, obviously, because I can't do it on the stairs. Stand next to the wooden platform elevator, hold the right trigger, then just clear the whole thing just by doing the charge jump.
Yep.
Because I didn't want to deal with the regular A jumps. I just didn't. I just no. I can't be having any of this stuff. It does not feel great.
Yeah.
And my final note, my final quote unquote complaint, and probably the biggest complaint I have about this game as a whole.
Okay.
And like you said, Boston, the thing I realized when I was making this list is this is all quality of life stuff.
Yep.
This isn't big asks. This is just quality of life stuff. And as soon as I say the first word, I imagine I'm going to get a head shaking and a groan from Boston here. So you can expand your kitchen. That's great, and it's fun to do so. I like doing that. I like having a small space and then expanding it.
Normal stuff for the genre. Yeah.
Yeah. What I don't like is having a limited inventory space, and then finding the dude who expands who gives you like certain things at the store. One of the many craftsmen around town.
Yep.
Who gives you storage.
Yep.
Oh, the other trinket that should be included from the start, by the way, is the inventory tracker, which tells you how many of each ingredient you have, both on your person and in storage.
Invaluable.
That's why I was reminded of it.
Yep.
But then you put the storage in your store, and you can't move it while it's got anything in it. The storage holds 80. Yep. You hold 40. Good luck moving it if you ever need to redesign your store a little bit. Yes.
You
can hold 80.
When the game came out, you held 30.
Oh boy. Then that makes this even more ridiculous. So when you're in the kitchen, you're like, oh, cool. And this is literally the first thing that happened to me. I was like, when I got the storage, like, great. I'm going to have this storage for this. And then I eventually got all three. So I was like, 3 different storages, 3 different colors. Great. 3 different sorting methods for my inventory.
Yep.
Fantastic. Did all of that. The thing I discovered when I got my first storage was, okay, I need to make, let's go stick with the sandwich. I need to make someone a sandwich. Cool. Okay, so you make bread by chopping up a bunch of wheat and then adding salt and throwing it in the oven. Great, fantastic. I can do that. So I go to the chopping board, and I hit the chopping board, and it opens up the ingredients menu, and I'm carrying nothing because I put it all into storage.
Yep.
Wait, what?
Which would be fine, except...
Pull it from storage.
Right.
You're a crafting game with storage.
Right.
Rule number 1. If I have storage in the main base of my operations and I need to make something, you pull from storage.
Yep.
The fact that then I have to go up 2 stories of the awkward stair mechanics
Mm-hmm.
to get to my top floor, pull the wheat and the salt out, then go down 2 stories of the awkward stair mechanics to use the cutting board to cut the wheat or the grinder to grind the wheat to make the flour, then take that up 1 more story to the oven to put that in the oven to make the bread. Then while the bread's getting done, I've got to go back up another story to pull out a fruit to go down so I can pull the bread out of the oven, put it with the fruit, and then go down again to my chopping board and chop it all up to make bread. You cannot pull from storage. Why?
So, like, I think what made me stop playing this game is none of these things we're individually talking about are that big.
None of them are a game breaker.
But it's death by 1,000 cuts. It's a crafting game that has limited inventory space on your character. That's frustrating. But then your storage, which is huge and has like 200 drawers in it, also is limited to not much more than you can carry. That's frustrating too. It wouldn't be so bad if there weren't so many ingredients and so many things you have to cook and so many recipes. So like usually these games reward you for hoarding stuff because someone's like, "Oh, I need you to make me 3 bowls of stew with mushrooms in it." I was like, "Oh my god, perfect. I've been foraging all that stuff over the last 15 hours. I can just go into my kitchen, whip up this stuff real quick." I forgot to mention this. I really love pinning all that stuff to the left-hand side of the screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that worked super, super well. I really wish
the quests and the recipes,
Yeah,
and the fact that you can pull it out at will just by clicking the right stick in. It's a really fantastic little touch.
Like, that's the quality of life stuff that I wish extended to the rest of this game, because if that kind of sensibility extended to everything in this game, I think we would have had a winner. But like, all of this stuff grates and all of this stuff annoys and all of this stuff is just like, I'm enjoying the world and I'm enjoying the act of putting the stuff in the oven and putting this stuff on the stove and grabbing the magical blob of water and putting it in here and having like 3 different things running at the same time to make this dish come together and deliver it to a person that is genuinely grateful through their text. But getting through to that part is just like, you keep stepping on Legos every time you turn around, and it's just like, it's just, all of it is so frustrating, especially because the core of this game is so promising, and it just, at every step, everything is just a little wrong. And like, that's what eventually drove me to drop the game. Of, this is a solid game underneath it all. It just needs that, like we've been saying, that quality of life polish to be like, steal this stuff from Stardew Valley, steal this stuff from Dreamlight Valley, like all of this stuff where it's like, yeah, you're in your house, anything in any of these chests is stuff you can use.
Hey Boston, Boston. If only they had a story mechanic like, you're a witch, to give you a reason to do so.
Right, and like, that's just,
that's the part that annoys me the most. If it was a regular human, whatever, I can kind of understand it. Literally, you're a witch.
And it's like, I don't want to. This is really tough when we talk about games that are solo developed or small team developed, because I don't want to be too.
There is so much here. There is so much positive here.
Right, and
but the problem is that the things that bother me are the things that I'm gonna hit again and again and again and again and again, just in the mechanical process of playing the game.
Every time you go to do the core mechanic of the game, which is cooking for people for their quests, all of that stuff irritates. And like, I get it. Making games is a nearly impossible feat, and we are lucky that we get any games out in any year that we can enjoy them, and especially from teams that are 1 to 2 to 5 people. Like, that stuff is incredible, but there's only so much that heart can...
It's time.
But there's also like only so much that heart can beat in a game like this. Like, this game has heart, and it really is a passion project, but just so much of it is just so close, but misses the mark where it matters.
Like, I don't really frequently. I don't like in my real life. It's very hard to know when I'm annoyed because I have a very monotone voice most of the time when I'm not performing.
Acting.
That's what you're listening to when I'm talking to a microphone. But when I'm just talking regularly, I have a pretty monotone voice. I have a pretty monotone facial expression. Like, I do have RBF. I can't help that. That's just the way my face sits.
Yep.
So it's very difficult for people to understand when I'm angry, frustrated, whatever the case may be. Several times after playing this game, I got the "so still not enjoying it" question.
You doing okay?
Yeah, how are things over there?
Right.
Maybe you want to play a different game? It's like,
Yeah.
no, I have to do this.
You wanna do the little to the left daily, daily tidy today?
I already did that, dude.
Biscuits. Yeah.
But it's nothing against the game. It's genuinely not. Like, I genuinely think if you like, because one of the things that irritates me is I don't have time. I'm working 2 jobs. One of them is ridiculous, like 45 hours a week minimum. The other one is as many hours as I could fit in before I literally drive off the road and kill myself. So, like, I don't have time to play a lot of video games, and it is almost September. I have 3 months till Game of the Year.
End of the year is in the background going, ooh, Game of the Year.
And I'm sitting here thinking, I could be playing that Don't Nod Banishers game. I could be playing Don't Nod Jusant. I could be playing X, Y, and Z instead of spending at least half of the amount of time playing this game. So 24 hours I put into this. I think this could be stripped down to 12 hours with the things I've talked about here not being so difficult to work around.
Right.
And that's part of what's not helping me. Like, I normally don't come in here and unload. I normally don't come in here with many complaints at all because I know how difficult this kind of stuff can be. But, like, an hour a night if I'm lucky to play video games. And I just spent 24 hours of that for the past month playing this game when
Shuffling
it should have been
ingredients.
12. It should have been 15. It should not be 24. And the story is charming and cute and really great. And people get life lessons. And the lightness and the darkness conversation that comes up around The Last Jedi comes up in this game too.
Right.
And I love it.
Right.
And I hate mechanically playing it.
Yeah, like I'm very much in the same boat. Like I really wanted to like this, and I really went in hoping to like it. And like I think the word you use is charming. It really is a charming game. It has a lot of heart. It's clearly a passion project. It is of a way higher quality in a lot of regards than a lot of indie games we play. It's just the act of playing it is really, really grating and frustrating. But I think the silver lining...
For the record.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah, 100% for us.
For us specifically.
If
everyone else seems to love this thing.
Yeah, like if you're playing it and you're loving it, great. You have another game to love. Like I couldn't be any happier. But I think the silver lining for me is these aren't problems that feel impossible to address after the game came out. Like this seems like things that the quality of life improvements can happen over time if the developer wants to continue working on the game, which I really hope they do, because I think this game is honestly very cool.
Let me see what they do next.
Yeah.
Let me see what the next passion project is. Let me see what the next thing is. Let's see if they take the feedback and learn from it and do something new.
I'm very excited to see what they're going to do next, because I think they have some.
There's a lot of potential here.
Yeah, I think they have some cool design sensibilities, and I think they made a game that is really cool. It's just really not for me, in a lot of regards. So, yeah.
So, Musum, are you going to go back and play this now that we've raked her over the coals?
After all that,
I mean, honestly, there's a lot of aspects of this game I like. I don't know if I could put up with the quality of life things that are missing, but to me, it sounds and I don't know how big this team is, if this is one person or more than one, but if it's
Two.
one person, then
One
it's
one game and then sound
Yeah.
soundtrack.
yeah. It sounds to me like the person was indecisive or of two minds about how to approach difficulty in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And so like part of it to me sounds like, well, I want the small inventory to force players to interact with the store window type thing.
Right.
And it sounds like they put too much of a I don't know what to call it, but too much of a pressure kind of in that window.
Mm.
You know, like they should have expanded it more, given you a little bit more inventory or given you options. I assumed your roommate would manage the store window eventually for you since it was her idea to open it.
Right.
So minor spoilers on that front.
Sure.
Hina is not of this world.
I gathered that pretty quickly after at the beginning she was just like, I can't go outside anymore. That's like not
So
legal.
yeah,
Anyways.
nobody notices the shop. Nobody notices the shop exists until you get there. Like you are a fluke of chance.
Mm-hmm.
She's just been living there because nobody knows it's there.
Yeah,
It's like
it's empty.
it's just a space. It's
Right.
just a wall
Okay.
for everybody else. Because Hina is a being from a different plane,
Mm-hmm.
is my assumption. But when you buy the actual deed for the store, you have the choice to kick her out.
Oh.
Well,
Cruel.
and I assume like there's a cat on the front cover. Is that a pet you get eventually, or I assume the Dragon Age hatches and you get a pet dragon
You
or
do get a
something,
pet
right?
dragon.
You do
Yeah.
get a pet dragon.
You
Like,
can
why
pet the
can't?
Go ahead.
How adorable would it be if your pet could man the store window?
That's right.
And
Oh yeah.
you'd
Yeah.
occasionally come back and they'd give you some ridiculous dialogue between a creature who can't speak English
Right.
and giving you money. Like, or like, hey, what if your pet dragon threatened a customer playfully or
Right.
implied
The dragon
playfully
is
into
really
buying your dish that you completely messed up? You know,
Mm-hmm.
like
cute. Uh-huh.
I thought the store mechanic window was kind of a genius idea, and the game clearly wants you to, you know, to me, like with the bread situation, because you need bread like pretty immediately on your recipes,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
I found no path to finding a recipe for bread. So to me, that says the game wants you to experiment with ingredients. That's what the store window says. So, like, I don't know. It seems like they want to imply this experimentation system, but then they put too hard of limits on everything.
Right.
The
Yeah.
I did manage to buy a storage container, and I was surprised as well.
Yeah.
I could not access that from the cooking menu, but you know, a couple hours in, your recipes aren't crazy
There,
whatsoever.
there are two items. What gets annoying is when you have four items. One is roasted, one is enchanted, one is ground, and all of that stuff is on different floors of
Right.
your restaurant, and you're just like, guys, like
I'm running around so
and,
much.
and you
Yeah.
can't even double jump through the floors when you get the
Right.
platforms. You have to use
You
the
have,
wind
you
spell
have to do
do
this
it,
like
and it's just like,
Castlevania 1 and 2, like holding up and right to go up the stairs. Like,
Yeah, I've
uh-huh.
been pretty worried. Like that was one thing when I saw the second floor and seeing how some of the places work and trying to figure out a workflow. Like, okay, I'm going to immediately move the sink near the back door so I can water my plants and I don't have to move as far because obviously not every dish is soup.
mm-hmm.
So like if I can't like I was worried that there would be some weird timing thing between switching between floors and cooking something. It sounds like there probably is. And
Yeah, there definitely
I
is.
don't think I would enjoy that. Like to me this should be a game kind of just about experimenting with cooking and making things
Yep.
and the story and experiencing the city. Like, I definitely missed the story beat you were talking about with the witch, Moon, because I got to the witch's hut up there, I saw the cutscene, and I left.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I didn't
You
realize there was a
literally have
quest
to
there.
talk to her to get a quest
Yeah,
from her.
Yep.
And that
yeah,
quest allows you to get the cauldron, which is vital for your next series of cooking stuff.
Right.
yeah. I
And it's
noticed I
just like,
needed the cauldron for the potions, but like honestly, every time I thought like, okay, I probably get that from the witches, but I really don't want to go all the way back up there. This seems like a pain in the butt. hopefully I can unlock a new traverse mechanic or something before I have to do that again. And it sounds like that's probably also not the case. But
Yeah.
for me, like, I don't really enjoy platformers. Like,
Right.
like I think if you've listened to this series enough, you'll realize like I try to be nice sometimes, but most of the time it's just like I don't like this. Where's
Right.
the easy button so I don't have to deal with this? I have too many other things I have to be good at in life. Please don't make me spend
Please don't make
hours
me
on end.
platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't want to get good at twitching in your game.
Right.
Like is what a lot of my gripes come down to.
Yeah.
And I'm also, I don't see the best, so like I don't want to stand on the edge of a pixel to make a jump to another
Yeah.
like do a I can't even think of that old game that really kind of abused that stuff. That was 15 years ago
Mm.
where your corpses would just line the environment as you're
Right.
trying to jump over everything. But um to me it seems like this should be a great blue sky game and it's not.
Right.
Is what it
Yep.
strikes me as.
Right.
But the beginning of it, honestly, like it seemed really charming and like something I would enjoy, but like the flavor profile stuff sounds fairly intimidating to me. And I already encountered a little bit of that because I thought I made the correct sandwich for I can't remember. It was the character who wanted you to use like herbs or plants or something from their friends or sisters or whoever's shop.
Yep.
And I made them something and brought it, and it said it wasn't this. And I thought, well, I used that ingredient. I wonder what went wrong.
Right.
And then I looked it up, and it didn't mention the flavor profile in the walkthrough. It just said, use these things. I'm like, okay. And I made it, and it's 2.5 stars. And I'm like, well, I wonder how I could have done that better because the pastry I made for the little princess girl was like 5 stars, and they really liked it. And that was just
Yep.
like sugar and flour or something.
Right. Right.
Or maybe it was a sugar and a nut. I don't remember. But it was fun getting the new kitchen items. Not that I got that many. I got the oven, and the mortar and pedestal, of course, and the cutting board. So it was fun seeing like, oh, I wonder what things it'll let me like roast. Does this make a difference? I don't know, but I'm making roast peppers for this sandwich. Because that is what I would do in real life, since this is evidently a very like possibly at least vegetarian, possibly vegan game.
Right.
But it's
Is there any meat?
That's
I
a
don't think
great.
there's any meat in the
That's a
game.
great point. I didn't
I
even realize
never
that.
made that. I never
Oh.
clicked at that at all. There isn't a single bit of meat.
That's
There's
cool.
a lot of mushrooms.
Yeah.
also at the same time. I should have. I can't believe I didn't write this down. After looking up the recipe for bread, where it's like rock salt and wheat, I'm like, oh, I wonder, like, is this game like reflecting real life at all? Like, I wonder if there's an easy dessert I can make with bananas. I googled it, and like one like dessert for bananas is just in real life is cutting up the banana and
Put chocolate inside.
cooking. Well, what I did is I melted some butter with some brown sugar, and then fried the banana in it, basically.
There you go.
And if I had whipped cream, I would have used that too, and it was delicious, and it was wonderful, and it was quick to make. And granted, it's covered in sugar, so it's
Can't really
maybe
go
not
wrong.
healthy, but it's it's a low calorie thing. Like it's an easy thing I can do. It's cheap. It'll fill my sweet tooth, and it's probably less calories than me buying Oreos or something.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
like it on the other hand, like the game had immediate impact in my life on
Right.
what can I do for myself that I'm not doing based on this game.
Right.
And it's disappointing to me, but like I don't know. Hopefully the game doesn't get complete glowing reviews so that the creators realize, oh yeah, these actually would be really easy to fix. Like this would not be a big deal to do. Like, or maybe they
Right.
just I don't know. But it seems like none of it should be a big deal to do. But or maybe you just cast a spell that on your shop window to hey, you've made phantom flora to man the store
Right.
window during the day.
Yeah.
But
Hopefully they'll stick with it because it does have promise.
yeah, like right now in my mind, like because we have it is just August, but ultimately our ranking of all these games will be in November. So like going into this podcast, in my head, I thought, I may still continue playing this. Hearing you guys talk about it, and what I may do is spend a bunch of more time in Pacific Drive, and then if I have time after that, come back to this and spend a few more hours. Because I still really is kind of a charming world and environment, and
Absolutely.
it sounds like there's a bunch of pain in the butt stuff to do, but I think I found the Neo Seeker walkthrough stuff Moon was talking about, so I'd been like, that's what got me the bread, and I once I saw the bread thing, I had accepted that. I accepted two things. One, I'm gonna have to make mistakes to progress in this game, which is something I have a hard time with, just period, in anything. Is I just want to get it right the first time, so I don't have to do it again, and that's just completely ridiculous. I'm a guitar teacher, and I tell students every time they're sitting in this room and I'm teaching them, like, you're here to make mistakes,
Right.
like
Yeah.
experiment, and I'm not taking my own advice in other walks of life. But I just completely lost my train of thought. Hey, don't you start. Sorry. I'm a very impatient dog here.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I probably, honestly, I think I probably will spend like just a little bit more time into it, but like a lot of the things you guys are talking about, are known aggravators for me in games. So, probably won't beat it or anything, but I'll play a little bit further into it, and I love places where I can kind of build out my house, and it's not like it's like this, where you buy a module that you arrange or something. Like, I don't want like the Fallout 4 level of granularity,
Right.
or the gosh, I was trying to think of one like I don't want like a Minecraft level of granularity. I want like a Skyrim level of granularity,
Right.
or let me buy like the big pieces, and I don't want to make a bunch of tiny decisions about decorating. I'm not 20 anymore. I don't have that kind of free time.
Right.
Unless that's your entire game. If your entire game is feng shui the game, like, let's do it, man. I'm in.
Right.
Like
And-
let's remodel and arrange this room.
And for anybody that's listening to this, a little ways after this episode came out, check the patch and update status. They might have fixed.
Yeah.
Well, this wouldn't be the first time in this show where we put out this episode and literally the next day they put out a giant patch that fixes absolutely everything we had wrong with the game. So,
Yeah, looking at you, the mummy demastered.
yeah.
Yep.
Go do some Googling. All right. That's all of our stuff here about Magical Delicacy. Let's talk about our next game, Clickolding. It is on Steam. It is about $3. It is about 45 minutes. It is about some stuff that we will find out in the next month.
Yes.
It is also not... I'm going to assume it is not kid-friendly for those of you out there that have children. It seems like it is more mature in themes. So... keep that. Also, if I understand correctly, it doesn't have any sort of save feature, so set aside an hour to sit there and clear it all in one sitting. So we're going to play Clickolding. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next month. Bye.
Bye.